How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern, and it is Tuesday here on this show. You know what that means? Got a lot to talk about here today. Yes, I am back. Maybe we'll talk about where I was later, but maybe not, because we got a lot to get into here today. A lot! Man, since the last time I was here, we've had 2 draft shows, a bunch of nothing happening shows, if we're being honest. A bunch of people got drafted to their own show. I remember when I said, Ilya Dragunov declared for the draft. So, why would he be drafted back to his own show? Little did I know that 80% of the people drafted were drafted to their own show. So anyway, we'll go over who's where after Raw last night. Talk about the Raw show. There is a WWE pay-per-view this coming weekend. Yes, Saturday there's a WWE pay-per-view. And a UFC pay-per-view. And a bunch of New Japan shows. So we can talk about all that. And of course, NXT is tonight, the second night of Spring Breakout. Minus some people who got pulled up in the draft. I'll give you all the details on that. Dynamite tomorrow. And then all of the news. That includes the interesting ratings from this past Saturday night. Maybe I was wrong about something. We'll have to talk about it. Collision followed immediately by Rampage, which followed the NBA. How did it do? With that as the lead-in. Talk about the story. I don't know why this story. Rock's chronic lateness. We'll get into that. Tony Khan talks about Goldberg and the whole neck brace gimmick that he's doing right now. And some AEW hires. I mean, there's so much news. So we're going to talk about as much as we can here today. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. Brian at WrestlingObserver.com. Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
Where we're going, where we're headed, I have no idea. This new era in the company, I mean, everybody can feel it. Everybody can sense it. We're on a roller coaster, man. We don't know where we're headed. But this ride, it's gonna take a minute. We're cooking right now. Obviously, all our sellouts, the business that we're doing, the amount of eyeballs that are in the company. I mean, this is the hottest the business has ever been. Everybody obviously likes to compare us to the Attitude Era. And we're doing some things the Attitude Era would have dreamed of. And I'm proud to be one of the figureheads right now. With this, I solidify myself as one of the people that we're going to be looking at as to lead, and that's something that I'm humbled and proud of. So how do I keep myself here? The same thing I've been doing, just be better tomorrow than I was yesterday. Last year, I believe I was number 3 in most overall matches. If I'm not mistaken, I was number 1 in TV matches. I want to double. I'll double the amount of matches if I could. You know what I mean? That doesn't. The idea of this being the workhorse championship, bring it. That's what I want to do. I want it all. Obviously we know our champions' schedules change. When you're the guy, or one of the guys, or one of the girls, a lot is asked of you. Give me the questions. I would love to give the answers. So, Seth set a precedent with this title, and it'd be disrespectful not to honor what he's done. And I'm one of the first guys to say thank you to what he did. When he brought another championship to a level that was important to the entire roster, and I plan to do it justice.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. And yes, back here today and ready to rock and roll. I actually got some sleep.
Good.
Man, I could go off for about 15 minutes about all sorts of things. But I'll get into the news and be a professional. Maybe later. Anyway, what the heck was up with this draft?
Whack.
What's the point? Well, here we go.
Apparently to draft everyone back to where they were to begin with. That's what the point was.
Well, here's the thing with the draft. I mean,
it's a gimmick.
Well, should I go on my draft spiel here?
Yeah.
People are going to go, oh, here we go again. All Vince's fault. Defending Triple A. I'm just telling you what happened, okay? So
Trick should have won the title. Oh, wait.
Well, he should have won the title. So, I mean, let's start off at the beginning. This draft sucked. It's pointless.
It did.
Okay?
It was
stupid. All right?
Well, I don't know about that.
It was stupid.
It was ineffective.
It was pretty stupid.
Well.
So, here's what we had. Raw, their number one draft pick was Gunther and Kaiser, but not Vinci, because he split up from them, okay? They were already on Raw to begin with. SmackDown picked Jade Cargill, who was already on SmackDown to begin with. Raw got Damage Control, so that was actually a switch. And SmackDown chose Kevin Owens, who was already on SmackDown. Cool picks. And then the second one, Raw chose CM Punk, who was already on Raw.
And injured.
SmackDown chose the Pride, who were already on SmackDown.
Who?
They're Lions, you see.
What about B-Fab?
She's there.
Your line too?
Yeah.
Lioness?
Raw chose Braun Strowman, who God only knows where he was anyway. He's been out for over a year. He had a neck fusion.
He was controlling his narrative.
And then SmackDown chose Tiffany, who was already on SmackDown. And after the Tiffany pick, Cole goes, well, that's not a traditional deal, drafting someone to the brand they were already on. I was just starting to not hate you at this job, and now, what are you talking about, dude? 75% of the people got drafted back to where they were, or more, and halfway through the second show, Cole goes, unusual to be drafted back to the same show.
You got 3 hours to fill sometimes. You trip over yourself.
And then we had an interview with Booker. They go, Booker, what do you think about the draft? He goes, interesting. I'll be interested to see what Judgment Day and what happens with Judgment Day and CM Punk. It's like, brother, Punk already got drafted. Thanks for paying attention. And then later they ask him again, and he goes, I don't want to talk about what happened. I want to talk about what might happen. What do you think is going to happen with Trick and Roxanne? I swear to God he said this. I go, dude, they're undraftable. Okay? The rules are champions are protected. You literally listed 2 champions and asked what might happen with them in the draft. Well, I'll tell you, nothing.
Me.
Then we had Raw taking Ray, Dragon Lee, Cruz, Joaquin, Zelina, and Carlito. So
Wait,
they
what?
switched.
Who?
Yeah.
Carlito?
Yeah, Carlito. Even though he split, he was included with the group. Because it was on the paper, according to Dave. SmackDown got Santos, Angel, Humberto, and Elektra. And Ron Simmons acted like he had never heard of these guys in their lives when he read their names. They were already on SmackDown as it was. Raw picked Drew, who was already on Raw. SmackDown picked Shinsuke, so someone actually switched. Which, by the way, Cole, that was unusual, that someone actually switched. Raw picked Judgment Day, who were already on Raw. SmackDown picked Naomi, who was already on SmackDown. Raw picked Ilya Dragunov, who, had been on Raw a few weeks ago, but he was NXT, got called up. And SmackDown picked Chelsea and Piper, so they're switching. Then Raw chose A New Day, who already were on Raw. SmackDown picked Pretty Deadly, who were already on SmackDown. Raw picked Lyra Valkyra. It was going up. She was so happy. And everyone was so happy for her. It melted my heart. SmackDown picked Candice and Indy, because I got to keep married people together. And then for the final round,
Guess Ludwig and Tiffany better get married soon.
Raw picked Final Testament. That's a switch. SmackDown picked DIY. Keep them together. Raw picked Bronson, who's already on Raw. And SmackDown picked Blair Davenport. So I had predicted, and you mocked me last week, Blair, Elia, Braun, Baron, and Fallon. So I only missed out on Fallon. She was the only one I missed out on. Thank you very much, everybody. So anyway, here's the deal. So I have hated the brand split. Okay.
Day one.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Day one. I was here.
Well, yeah,
Hated it.
I hate it. Well, you know why I hated it? Because how they did it. Okay. If you want to have a Raw show with a specific roster and a SmackDown show with a specific roster, but like if you need somebody on the other show, they can go there. Whatever. Fine. Okay. But the way they did it, which is we're going to tell you that these are locked. We're going to tell you every November that it's the one time per year that you're going to see people. It's like you tell us that and then you do something totally different. Made me so angry. It was so stupid year after year. And every year Vince did it. We're going to do this big draft. We're going to have people switch sides. But then sometimes we're going to forget about it. Sometimes people are just going to... It was stupid, okay? So, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but when Vince left, they dropped that. They still had a Raw roster and a SmackDown roster. But, if they needed Dominic on SmackDown, he'd just be on SmackDown. He would be on Raw 80% of the time. That's his brand. But he can go to the other show. It was a loose brand split. That's the way you need to do it, because then you don't insult the viewers by telling them, you'll never see Dominic on SmackDown again. You'll never see Dominic and Ray together because they're on different brands. And then we do. So the way they're doing it now is superior. But when you do it like that, it's like, we don't even really need a draft. Who cares? And you can see from the SmackDown numbers, who cares? It didn't do that well.
Well, there were people watching that other draft. They kind of took precedence, And the idea...
So the point is, it was stupid before, and now it's stupid in a different way.
It is.
Can't win for losing.
Well, this is the way it's going to be. They like doing this. They like, wanting some network separation and doing that sort of stuff. Remember Cletus when he came to Fox and all that sort of stuff. And it gives them the opportunity to have two shows that you can kind of put into cruise control because they're draft shows, which would be okay if you added some drama or something to these shows that would have made them a little bit more exciting. I don't think they're going to lose a whole lot here after WrestleMania. They're still going to be very strong. This number, even with the loss, was still a strong number for them on Friday night, but it's just one of those things where...
Well, it was strong if you consider the lowest number in months.
Yeah, but it was how many people? 2 point... whatever it was.
Well, it's on Fox. It's not going to drop that far.
Of course. And that's
they drafted the Raw numbers to SmackDown.
And that's the whole point is. But the thing is that made it disappointing was there weren't a lot of moves and there was not a lot of drama built into these other storylines. I mean, we got Backlash France coming up, and it's probably the most forgotten about premium live event that they've done in quite some time.
SmackDown did 2.143 million. Lowest audience since last year. There has not been a number in 2024 this low. 0.58, 18 to 49. Also, all of these are lowest since and not only was it December, but it was the Christmas weeks, or that's always going to die. So it probably was the worst going back even further. Had the NBA draft, which, murdered them. And then the other two interesting...
NFL,
and
NBA playoffs. And
well, there's
playoffs.
a secret NBA draft you don't know about. It's on the secret board. Now, Saturday's Collision and Rampage was the other interesting deal because Saturday's Collision aired right after the NBA playoffs, which is not the NFL draft. Averaged 621,000 viewers. 621,000 for Collision and a .21. The third highest rating they've ever done. Ever. Collision.
Yeah, well.
And then they were followed immediately by Rampage. I mean, immediately, it's part of the show. And Rampage did 293 and a 0.09.
Yeah, these numbers weren't as good as they sounded at the beginning.
Stand by. Observer Live.
I didn't know what it was going to be like, honest. The crowd, for one. I am newly friends with the crowd again, so I was concerned that, some of them didn't forgive me for calling them idiots for so many years. Sometimes you guys were. I'm an idiot too. It's fine. It happens. I wasn't sure how it was going to be because Io is so incredibly talented and it's hard to not cheer for her. She's so amazing, but she's a really bad friend. So I was very excited to hear that everyone still had my back after all these years. I truly think that my journey through the WWE these past 11 years has, we have cemented such a connection, myself and the fans and all of you guys. So coming out, I felt like, finally. I think I did my job these last few years to show how much I care about this and how much I care that you guys care about this, So I felt very, very grateful. And right now I feel crazy. It feels like the weirdest dream. I feel like I just fantasy booked my whole life. Doing this, then watching The Rock and The Undertaker and John Cena, I was like, fantasy booked this whole thing. Personally, I think we just had a weird, that whole experience was very humbling to me. I imagined creating a group. It was going to be so different and the fans were going to love it and it was just we were going to be dominating everything, but there was so much more that goes into it behind the scenes and we had to work on our chemistry, like real life chemistry as friends, and share our goals with each other, like what we want out of this so that we can help each other get there. And I think once we started ironing those things out and getting confident in ourselves and trusting each other, we started to feel better. Everybody started being themselves. We weren't trying to be professional. We were like being able to hang out with your friends and put on the best work we can. Then Io won the title, and I think that was just like we're on top of the world. There was a second part I was going to say, and I don't remember. But I think Io winning the title was definitely a shift change. Just hearing the reaction when Dakota came in the ring there, I said, they do care about us. They do remember our moments. It's a long journey. I didn't think we'd be here right now. I know what I was going to say. I talk a lot sometimes. I think I got time. To me, although Damage Control still took a loss last night, them coming out and getting an entrance, they had a little bit to their entrance. Dakota was on last year's, got hurt, still made it to this one. And then they came out tonight. So to me, Damage Control was on 2 nights of WrestleMania, and that's a win to me. Although they both lost.
The funny thing about ratings is, it's numbers over a lot of time or whatever.
Numbers do play a part,
right?
Yes.
Well, let's look at it. So what does it say when I read the deal here? Well, Collision did great, 621,000.21, largest audience since July 29th, third largest of all time.
But why?
Well, I do not begrudge them at all for what they did, which was you air it right after the NBA, and you tried and throw something big out there.
Damn right.
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
But, we got these quarters from Brandon Thurston here, and that first quarter, right after the NBA ended, okay, that first quarter where Swerve came out to talk, 1.35 million viewers, 0.49 in 18 to 49. Absolutely gigantic. That was all the people that just finished watching the NBA and the TV was still on. We then proceeded to get an incredible turnoff over the next hour. We went from 1.35 million for the promo. By the time the promo was over, they were down to 850.
500,000.
They lost 500,000 viewers. What that means is the thing started, and within about a minute, probably 500,000 people just shut off the TV. Some stuck around a little longer. and they announced the Claudio Castagnoli match. And then they started that Action Andretti Top Flight Ass Boys match.
Hey, Jay White's not one of those.
They lost another 200,000 viewers during that match. And it just kept going straight down.
Yeah.
By the time the first hour, the first segment of the second hour was down to 551 and a .18. And then, they used the Swerve promo to hype up a main event. And the main event ended up doing 440 and a .15. So, it's like, in theory, it's like a great idea. You're going to have a huge lead-in. So, do something to get, I don't know what the idea is, like convert non-viewers into wrestling fans or whatever. Never works.
Try to give them something.
Yeah. I mean, by the time the show was over, you were down to your normal professional wrestling fans. You picked up 0 people from the lead-in. I mean, it's just what happened. And then, it fell more for Rampage, but not like a ton. It just, 440 to 314. I guess that's pretty significant. But, then the Rampage show was really just straight line. That was just all of the hardest of the hardcore wrestling fans who were going to watch 3 hours on Saturday. That's about your number, 290,000 of those people. And that was what happened. So, am I saying they shouldn't have aired it? Of course they should have aired it afterwards. And, if you look at the hourly, the show itself, that was a giant boost for Collision. But the reality is it was just like a giant first quarter, and then it really just went back to normal afterwards. So, there's no answer. WWE could do it as well. That first ever SmackDown, that happened at 4 million on Fox. 4 million. They do half of that now. It's just like, it's what happens. A bunch of people tuned in, let's see this new show, and then they were done with it. So...
And you hope some people stick around. You hope some people who are WWE fans first, who are sports fans first, said, "Oh, I liked hearing what Swerve had to say," or whatever it is, and maybe they'll tune in on Wednesday. The only thing you can do is try to take advantage of the time and the benefits that you've been given, and I think they did that. Maybe they should have had Swerve and Claudio go right away instead of going to the 6-man as the next match. I don't know if that would have helped really, though. In the position that they're in. So the only thing you can do is put your best foot forward, and I think they did that with Swerve. And as you mentioned, the show just went down to the totals that it's pretty much been doing anyway. Now, one thing we're seeing is because of all of the NHL and NBA playoff stuff going on, you are seeing Rampage attached to either Collision or you're seeing it attached to Dynamite. I'd have to look at the numbers when it is attached to each.
Are you wheezing?
It's because I have to cough.
I don't need to hear any more of that.
I'm trying not to, but the bottom line is, I want to. At some point, I have a feeling we're going to see a third hour attached to one of these shows, and I think it's probably going to be Collision, so they can make a block out of the out of the show. So, I'll have to look and see, but I have a feeling that these 3-hour blocks could be a thing in the future.
Well, we talked about it last week. I even suggested that if you're being paid for 5 hours of TV, I think it's better to do Collision followed by Rampage than Rampage as a standalone on Friday night, because they had 2 weeks in a row where Rampage followed Collision and did way better. This week, that did not happen. Now, to be fair, there is a difference here. This did air 30 minutes later than usual. So, Rampage ended at 11:30. So that is something. Like, the later you go in the evening, it doesn't matter what you are. It's just going to be fewer viewers because people fall asleep and whatever. But I do think that as a general rule, if they said, Brian Kahn, we're going to give you 5 hours of television, Dynamite's 2 hours on Wednesday, but what do you want to do with the other 3? I would not do Friday standalone and Saturday. I would just do 3 hours Saturday. Just 3 hours.
Yeah.
Back to back. Get it done. It's and I say that as someone where, for me, that is significantly less convenient. I went to a wrestling show on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah?
Boom Pro Wrestling.
Ooh.
I'm going to talk about it tonight on the Brian and Vinny show because Vinny and Sean also went. And, brother, I have not had so much fun at a wrestling show in years. I watched Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln?
The 16th president.
Bobby
Abraham
Fish.
Lincoln. He wrestled on the show.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And, it was so fun. But, I mean, the non-fun part was it was in Vancouver, Washington, or British Columbia. There's also Vancouver, Washington. So, when you add in the border, it took us 4 frickin' hours to get there. And then it took, I think, 2.5 or something to get back or whatever. But, that was my whole Saturday. So I had to come home Sunday and figure out how to watch Collision and Rampage before I could do, because I have a show I got to do at 9. So, what are you going to do with your family? Well, nothing. I got to watch 3 hours of wrestling. That sucked. But it wasn't the suckiest thing the last couple of days. But still, that's not fun for me personally. But I'm saying this is a fair man and a business person. 3 hours on Saturday night is better than that Friday standalone 1 hour Rampage. It just, And they had, do you guys remember Rampage? You guys remember what Rampage was? What was Rampage?
Second show.
The idea was it is going to air after SmackDown. So all those wrestling fans are going to watch 2 hours of SmackDown.
That was a concept.
And then they're going to find the other channel and watch another hour of Rampage. This has never happened. Almost nobody does that.
It never works.
So move it to Saturday after Collision. At least then you're following on the same channel the same promotion. I think that's better.
They don't need a 5th hour. They need 2 2-hour shows. You could argue they only need 1 2-hour show, but they definitely need 2 2-hour shows. They don't need that extra hour. Now, they're getting paid for it. If they're going to give you money for it, go ahead and do it. But I would rather have a 3-hour block, that's for sure, but I would really rather have just 2 2-hour shows, and that's it. They don't need any more than that. They really don't.
Hey, let me give a plug here. So my kids love this Mr. DeMeo. He's a teacher. I think he's in New Jersey, but he started doing these videos, educational videos for kids. And he's got puppets and green screen. They go to different planets. You want to learn about Saturn? Well, he's got a show on Saturn. He's got one on all the planets. He's got historical videos on all the presidents and everything. He's also a wrestling fan. So if you watch his videos, there's always wrestling Easter eggs all over. I think they do one about the sun, and I'm pretty sure that the sun is actually Ric Flair. You've got to watch him. But anyway, so...
starting to wheeze again.
So he's got one on Abraham Lincoln. The story of Abraham Lincoln, okay? Well, Abraham Lincoln was a wrestler, okay? So he talks about how Abe Lincoln was a wrestler in the video, and he also, as part of this, has an Abraham Lincoln music video, okay? The Abraham Lincoln music video is a spoof of Real American.
Get out.
It is absolutely incredible, okay? It is absolutely incredible. So I emailed him, and I was like, dude, I'm actually going to watch Abe Lincoln. He's wrestling tonight. And so he said, dude, I give permission. If Abraham Lincoln wants to use this song, let's do it. And so, I sent it to the promoter and everything like that. And apparently Abe Lincoln liked his actual song, which is anyway, it's fine. But this one was better. But he didn't use it. But I do want to plug and encourage everybody to go. It's on YouTube. Mr. DeMeo, Abe Lincoln. Watch the video and check out the Abe Lincoln Real American spoof. It's the greatest.
Do we have enough technology to show that during the break at some point?
I should ask if we could air it on the show, but I want everyone to just go click on the YouTube and also like and subscribe. Do that for our channel too, but go do it for Mr. DeMeo. It's great. Anyway, back in a moment. Observer Live.
A lot of people had asked me, what's it going to feel like if you can beat the tribal chief, if you can beat Roman Reigns? And I really was honest when I said I don't know. I don't know. I've never been in the end zone before. You know, I've been 1B. I've main evented shows. I've been able to be in the main event, but there's a difference between being in the main event and being the main event. Roman Reigns, obviously, he and I are not good friends, but that's the greatest championship reign in sports and entertainment. And as much as I don't agree with his style and the way he went about being a champion, perhaps, I still hope I can be half the champion that he was for WWE as a leader, as the quarterback. In the moment, I was so happy just to see my friends. You don't have a lot of friends in wrestling, you know, and then you do, and they turn on you. And, you know, Kevin Owens is a huge part of my journey. I wouldn't have been able to meet the guys I met that I needed to meet and do the things that we would do without him. Sammy was a huge part of my journey last year with the kind of budding rivalry between us heading towards, you know, WrestleMania and him having that opportunity at Elimination Chamber to see him. I didn't think I would see Randy just because he'd probably get on his bus. You know, he's Randy. So to have the guy who took me under his wing and I got to watch be a champion, that was amazing. I drove Cena around for almost 2 years. Learned everything I possibly could from him, but didn't know I was learning because we were just having such a good time. And there's nobody who carried WWE, you know, until Roman, like John Cena, and for him to be out there, my family, LA Knight, just a lot of victims of the bloodline in a sense. There was that. I think more than anything, just circling back to what you asked, I think that was just the joy. You know, there's a respect for Roman and the bloodline, no doubt, but nothing is bigger than the company, than the industry itself. And this was a win for the people, and certainly a win for me.
All right, I tweeted it out. Abraham Lincoln Facts by Mr. DeMeo. If you got kids, have them watch all these. They're all great. Yeah, ain't blinking. Anyway, we'll do more news, and then maybe I'll tell you about my kids. Now that everything's better. Guys, want to know what happened the last couple of days? Should I just do it now?
Yes.
You ever heard the old story, no good deed goes unpunished?
I have.
It's not really a story, but you're about to hear the story. So I still got my Invisalign.
We can hear.
Yeah, you hear that? Okay. So my teeth are they're done, but you got to have these in for 3 months afterwards to make sure your teeth settle. And then you can take them out and only wear them at night. And apparently he's going to do something to these out here. I don't even know what. He just said he should do it, and I said, all right. So, anyway. So Paisley has a puppet show coming up for her school, okay? And they're making the puppets. She's very excited, okay? So puppet show sometime in May, but they have to make the puppets first. So they sent home, you have to make the body at home. You just cut it out and sew it together, and that's the body. But the heads are going to be made in class out of paper mache. So they were going to have a day where the kids and parents could come in and help everybody put together the paper mache heads, all right?
Yeah.
So Paige goes, Daddy, can you please come? It'd be so great. Come help us do the paper mache heads. I said, no problem. Put on the calendar, paper mache day. So she's been waiting for paper mache day for weeks. Paper mache day is coming. We're going to make these paper mache heads. So, meanwhile, I've got my Invisalign thing coming up. Get my teeth done, so I don't have to wear this stupid thing anymore. So I'm just kind of waiting because usually they send me. I didn't write down like an idiot what day it was. I'm just waiting for the text. And sure enough, I get that text. And it's not only the same day, it's at the exact same time as Paper Mache Day.
Naturally.
Of course. So I cannot skip Paper Mache Day.
No.
But it's like, all right, whatever. So I call him up and I say, is there any like time before or after that exact block, like earlier in the day, later in the day? And they say, of course, no, there's not. I said, okay, well, when's the next time I can go in to get this off? And as God is my witness, and it's even more ironic, she says, well, your dentist is out all of May.
What?
He's getting surgery on his toe, okay? Now, the funny thing is, I have a toe, my left big toe, which is like all messed up. He's getting surgery on the exact same thing I have. He's going to be gone all of May. So they go, the earliest we can get you in is like June 18th.
Jeez.
Okay. So because of Paper Mache Day, I now have to wear this for 6 extra weeks. 6 extra weeks because of Paper Mache Day. So, okay, fine. Love my daughter.
Exactly.
Whatever.
What is 6 extra weeks when you have a lifetime of love coming and a memory?
Exactly. She'll remember this forever if I don't have Paper Mache Day. So I'm like, okay, fine. Paper Mache Day. So Paper Mache Day was Monday, yesterday. Today's Tuesday, right?
Yes.
So you're probably all thinking, well, that's where Bryan was. Paper Mache Day. Well, things never work out the way you want them to.
Oh, no.
So, Sunday, she's kind of not feeling so great. I'm like, oh, my God. Let me guess. You're getting sick. And you're not going to be able to go to school for Paper Mache Day. Like, oh, my God. So, she's not feeling well. And I put her to bed Sunday night, and I'm like, you may not be able to go to school tomorrow. And she just breaks down, Paper Mache Day.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, listen, I'll make you a deal, okay? If you're sick, I will still go for Paper Mache Day. I will make the head for you, so we got it done, okay? And she's like, okay with that. All right, I'm going to go. I'm going to make the head. Like, everything's fine. I ain't going to get sick. Well, what do you think happens at midnight? She's so sick, she can't breathe. And so took her to the hospital. And, of course, the emergency room was a disaster. Like, there literally was almost a UFC fight in the emergency room, like these teenagers. Like, they almost got in a fight. Security had to come and, like, arrest people in the basically just calmly sitting there. And finally, got a room at 5 a.m.
Oh, 5?
5 a.m.
Wait, you were in there. Oh man.
They start doing all this stuff, And long story short, I think I got 3 hours of sleep that night. And then, suffice to say, there was no Paper Mache Day. And it is now Tuesday. She's still in the hospital because it appears that she had a pretty serious asthma attack, and we didn't even really know she had asthma. I mean, never diagnosed or never really had any problems. She'd had, when she was a baby, every time she got sick, she would get croup. But they're supposed to outgrow croup after a while. And so she would still, like once a year, she would get sick and have breathing issues. And, take her in and they'd give her the oral steroid or whatever, and she'd be fine. But, like, this one was bad. And oral steroid didn't work. And, I mean, she's been on oxygen until about 2 hours ago to try to get her oxygen levels back up. So the good news is, seems like she's fine. She'll probably come home this afternoon. But now, tomorrow is Makeup Paper Mache Day. And so You ever seen a man pray? You ever seen a man really get on his knees and pray to the good Lord above?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I've been that person.
a lot of that, because she is very much looking forward to going and finishing that paper mache head tomorrow. So hopefully there's going to be a good payoff to this angle, because so far it has been nothing but heat. Vince McMahon style heat. And that's where I was yesterday, everybody. And then I don't want to really get on this, but I did tell Dave, like, I got 3 hours of sleep. Can we, like, do the show at 11?
I was going to ask you about
Yeah,
this.
and so I was all ready to go at 11. And at 11:29, we still hadn't started. He was still, like, getting ready. And then I'm like, what is going on here? And I find out he's been tweeting. So if you heard the show last night and the show started and I was, like, trying desperately to get this show on the road and just go, now you know why. And also, if you hear the Sunday show where Dave and I are talking about, like, Vince McMahon or whatever, that first segment where we went like 30 minutes talking about Vince and Tony Khan and everything like that, I was doing that segment and also getting ready to take Paisley to the hospital because it was all happening during that show. So if you want a glimpse into, like, how fun this job is, how easy it is, well, there you go. That's my story.
You're a good dad, Bryan Alvarez.
God, if we don't do that head tomorrow, I don't even know.
Can you just, like, is there a minor league baseball team in town where you could just, like, knock over one of the mascots and steal one of their heads or something like that? I mean, could you do that?
I mean, we'll be doing paper mache here. I don't even know how.
Well,
I'll make it up.
You'll be a piñata master by the time you're done with it. You better make this look good, not disappoint that little girl.
And no matter how exhausted I was last night, I still did a better job than Dave with Patrick Mahomes' name.
Oh, Mahomes?
Mahones. Yes.
The Mahones on him.
So, a couple of other notes here. So Darby did get hit by a bus.
In the face.
Talked about that a couple of days ago.
In the face.
He said we're in New York hanging out, and I guess his buddy there was jaywalking. I see this bus. It's taking a right turn. I'm like, there's no way they're going to see Raymond at night walking like at all. Because like I said, he can't even really walk that good. So as I'm pushing him, all right, hurry up. There's a bus coming. The bus is taking a right. Must have been going 8-10 miles an hour. Wasn't anything like 30. But I was pushing him out of the way. The side of the bus window, my face bounced off of it. So you could say I saved Raymond Pettibon's life. And he said he didn't get checked out immediately, but got medical attention later. My nose is definitely broken. You ever heard the saying, no good deed goes unpunished? That is the story of this show today. No good deed goes unpunished. And that was while recovering from a broken foot. So he's on a broken foot. He saves his buddy and gets his face destroyed as a result. Then there's a story about Rock's alleged chronic lateness. The Wrap did an article and claimed that he was something like 3 hours late for WrestleMania.
Like, yeah, supposedly. I think they may have gotten that story mixed up with the fan convention.
We were told by WWE that he was not 3 hours late for WrestleMania.
No.
So, but whoever heard of it? So is that what is classified as news nowadays? Famous guy is late all the time.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But I think this was also playing into another story that came from a film set that said that his chronic lateness caused a lot of problems, and then that combined with other things had whatever this movie was.
Well, they did claim it cost them $50 million.
Yeah, well,
$50 million
budget for this movie, but
well, you know what? If The Rock is chronically late and stops getting bookings for films, we'll know there's a problem. Right?
I don't know. I think the box office is going to determine that, and I don't know. Things have not been great for The Rock that way, but he's got this whole TKO thing he can now fall back on, too, if he needs to.
Then there's this one here. One of the things about Japan...
You skipped over the whole thing about him peeing in bottles?
That's news.
Well...
Buddy used to do that on the road all the time. And then just roll down the window, and then he'd have another bottle.
I was always impressed, the ones who could do in that small bottle top. You need to have the wide bottle, the wide Gatorade one, those guys, they were pros back in the day.
It is funny the things that don't even...
Life on the road.
I don't even think about it. They're just normal to me. Anyway, so Japan is like, very technologically,
Advanced.
But then you hear this story. New Japan has issued an apology to members of its official fan club after losing a USB drive that contained some of their personal information. They had a USB drive at a Korakuen Hall show on April 22nd. Contained the name, date of birth, age, gender, membership number, membership type, membership expiration date of 32,775 people. Did not contain credit card info, addresses, phone numbers, or email addresses. But they lost their USB drive.
A USB drive with all that information on there. You got to be kidding me. You can get a...
At least it wasn't on floppy disk.
I guess, but you can get a Michelin star meal out of a vending machine in Japan, for heaven's sakes, and that's where they have everything. Apparently, though, New Japan said they're working on this and it won't happen again.
Also, Sonata has been pulled from a bunch of shows, 2 more Road to Wrestling Dontaku events, both nights of Dontaku, and Altogether 2024. He's been out of action since April 27th due to illness, and he is returning to Tokyo for a medical appraisal, but we don't know anything else. So hopefully he's all right.
Possibly maybe has a virus from what I've heard, but we'll find out. Hopefully all the best to him and everybody else who seems to be getting injured or sick right now. Stay well, everybody.
Good Lord. Yeah, it's going to come home. His pace is going to be better, and then we're all going to get sick. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
I think sometimes it feels like it's a father-son story. It's just something that, father-daughter, father-son, that a lot of people can see and relate to. But then, if I'm truly being honest, I think it's a story of, as much as I had the legacy and I had the last name, I wasn't born with all the tools. My brother's 6'4". How pissed off I was when I stopped growing. My dad and my sister just had all this charisma, and I think people resonate, that works for them. You can make it to the main event. You can make it to being the main event. I always wanted to be a winning franchise, if that makes any sense. And at my age and where I'm at in my career, I know that's not been the story. But I'm very proud of what the story has become. And you asked, why it resonates. Is the only answer I really know. Because it's real. I wanted to be this because at first he wasn't, and I thought he should have been. And then when he passed away, I failed. I didn't hand it to him. But it became about, I said this earlier, it was in the hype packages and stuff it was playing. The story was beyond me at that point, and I still felt the need to finish it. I've been saying all week, I think I said it on First Take too, that even if I didn't believe, people believed. I wanted to share. I came to the back, and Bruce Pritchard and Triple H and Nick Khan handed me this, which is the same watch that my dad had, that he pawned so that I could go to acting school. So the level of investment and responsibility that the company just put in my hands, I hope I can pay it back, pay it forward 100 times over.
Brandon here says, that story is wild. When I was a kid, I remember going to the doctor for a routine checkup for my asthma. And the doctor said, well, let's check your older brother since he's here. And they checked him, and he was having an asthma attack, and we had to rush him to the ER.
Oh, my God. What?
God.
Oh.
And
well,
then
things used to be different back in the day.
You know, also those pictures I posted of Hanalei where she sort of got the angry face and the attitude and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Paisley is the sweetest, nicest girl. But she was a total granny. She was Sarah. She's screaming at the doctors, I will not stay here another night. Just heal me. They were laughing. Not as she was screaming. They were trying to be, serious about it, but afterwards they were like, "Oh my God." She was yelling at us, "Just heal me." Yeah.
Now, has Hannah shown any sympathy in all of this?
Actually, it's pretty sweet. She's asked when she gets to see her sister again.
Aww.
And usually they're just nothing but like rivals.
Well, yeah, that's why. She needs to have her back. She understands a little bit of loss now, to have her back so she can torture her all over again.
Yeah, she wants her back to steal her toys. So anyway, tonight it is the Brian, Vinny, Granny, Craig, and Sean show. It is WWF Challenge Episode 10. Season 1, Episode 10.
An awesome series of shows these have been.
Yes. So we're going to watch it. I've enjoyed them immensely. We kind of try and talk a little bit of history as well and that sort of thing. They're quite the blast from the past. So that's for subscribers tonight. The Brian and Vinny Show, video.f4wonline.com, wrestlingobserver.com. Back tomorrow with a lot more news and plenty to talk about. So thanks as always. Make sure you watch that Abraham Lincoln video. And then click like and subscribe there and on our video.f4wonline.com YouTube page as well. And that's it. We'll talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.